before I go back to work, my last project is to corrosion proof my vehicle. So what do you use? In Africa we have a spray on rubber product which you spray over the underneath your vehicle. Sometimes it gets hard, sometimes it stays sticky. There's another product called Tectile which stays sticky, which is not really what I'm looking for. And I've been following a guy in Australia called Ruthie, and Ruthie uses a product called Lanotech. Now Lanotech is made from, it's really the oil from sheep's wool, so it's completely environmentally friendly. It really does nothing for the environment, which is great. It's not that expensive, so I looked for some in New Zealand and I found ProLan. ProLan is the same sort of product. You get a heavier duty version, which is this one called Enduro. It's just a little bit thicker. You spray it on and it's really that easy. It's really easy. The product for this tin, which is 4 liters, I paid about 120 New Zealand dollars. That should, according to the guys at the 4x4 centre where I bought it, they said to me I should get probably two full covers out of it. So do one now and do one again in 6 months time. I don't use my car a lot. I use the ferry to go to work, so it might even last a year. The other thing they say on the brochure is that you can high pressure clean your vehicle or water blast it, and you will not take the product off your vehicle. The one thing you've got to get used to, it smells like sheep. If you've ever been on a sheep farm or a sheep station, it smells like sheep. So if you've been around sheep skins before they get sent off, it smells like sheep. So my car, probably the first time I did it, smells like sheep for about 3 or 4 days, but not the end of the world. And really that's the least of the problems. The product is also food grade, so it's quite safe to use. The only issue is it gets quite, while you're using it, you get dirty. So if you've got an overall, wear an overall, but you do get fairly covered. Ideally you would have a lift like you've got in the service station, where you put your car on the lift and it lifts your car and you work underneath. Not many of us have got those, so what I did, I got 4 planks of wood which are thick. They're probably 2-3 centimeters thick. I put 3 or 4 under each wheel and I reversed onto them, so I lifted the car probably 15 centimeters, but all 4 wheels were on. It was quite safe, and that's what I did. So this is the product. The other thing that's really handy is these bottles. Now in Australia, Lanotech make a bottle. I bought this from the local hardware for 10 bucks. So you put the product in, you then pump, you pull the trigger and it sprays. You can adjust the nozzle and it can be reused. Lanolin or ProLan or whatever lanolin product you're using can get quite sticky when it dries. When I say sticky, it'll block the nozzle. This has got a very fine filter inside, so I washed it. They have all sorts of products that they suggest. I used normal dish liquid, the stuff that you use to wash your dishes. I put it in here, shook it up, washed it out, sprayed it through a few times, and it still works. The other thing I used is a rag, just any old rag, to wipe the excess off, because it does get quite messy. So the idea is that you shake the tin, you probably put a litre or 2 in here, and then you pump it like crazy. Then what I did, underneath the vehicle, which I'll show you in a moment, any bit of chassis that's got a hole in, I sprayed inside the hole. I filled everything. So before this, I took a hose and I washed out the chassis. I washed everything I could underneath the car, and then I sprayed it. So anything metal, now obviously this is a lubricant, it's an oil, you don't want to put it on your brakes. In this case, I didn't take my wheels off. I never sprayed the wheels. That I'll do next time. But if you watch Ruthie's video, you'll see what he does is cover the brakes with tin foil, because it's easy to get the shape. Put it over the brakes and then you spray everything. Take the wheels off. He's got a proper lift at his house, so it makes it much easier. The other thing, he put the vehicle on his axle stands, take all the wheels off. I don't generally drive in seawater. I drive a little bit on the beach. I avoid seawater, and then I always wash my car when I get home. So I sprayed all the underneath of the body. I sprayed the body panels, I sprayed the chassis, I sprayed on top of the chassis, I sprayed inside the chassis. Anything that could rust got sprayed. I ended up using about 1.5 liters. So the whole corrosion protection, let's say, cost me 40 bucks, somewhere around there. Do it once or twice a year and it's really not that hard. So see what I did, and I suggest you give it a bash. It's a lot easier and cheaper than anything else. The other thing is, some people take sump oil, so when they change the oil, they keep the oil from their sump and they wipe it all over the underneath of their vehicle. Sump oil is not environmentally friendly and it does cause issues on the beaches. So really, for the price, even if you do it once a year, you're looking at 40 bucks. So you're looking at, what's that going to be, less than $4 a month. Well, let's say $4 a month. That's not a lot of money to protect your car. I haven't got steel rims, the normal steel rims that rust, so I haven't sprayed my rims. But normally you'd spray your rims. You spray anything that's metal. On my trailer, I use Tectile. I rebuilt the trailer for my inflatable boat, and that is still sticky 6 months later. It's a nuisance. You drive on the beach and any sand sticks on the trailer. Everything sticks. This dries to almost a hard finish. Okay, this is the job a few days later, and you'll see it's now black and it's dried. These holes are the holes I filled with Lanotech, and I sprayed inside the chassis. Another point is that working with a spray bottle, you get some that have got a flexible nozzle and an extended flexible, let's call it a pipe, which you can stick into your chassis, which is great. This one doesn't, but with all of them, the lanolin will run out over your driveway or your garage or wherever you're working. So just keep that in mind. Put down rags, you could probably buy a painter's painting drop sheet for $2, the plastic ones. Work over that. I worked outside, and all I did afterwards, I have a bore, or a borehole as some people know it by, with a very high pressure pump, and I just washed it. Because lanolin or ProLan or Lanotech, they're all the same. It's all food grade biodegradable oil. It's not poisonous to the animals, to the birds, to the insects, to anything. So it's quite safe to use, quite safe just to wash onto the lawn, quite safe to go into the drain.